This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
With the landslide election of President Donald Trump to a second term in office, it is clearly evident that the Trudeau Liberals, despite their protestations to the contrary, never bothered to draft a plan to deal with the eventuality of a Trump 2.0 presidency. This is particularly true when it comes to Canada's lack of spending on national defense. It is time to target how Trump will pressure Canada into boosting the defense budget and what steps Canada can take to ensure that those expenditures actually benefit the Canadian Armed Forces, or the CAF, in a meaningful manner. Admittedly, Donald Trump can be erratically inconsistent in some of his policies. However, when it comes to America's NATO allies' spending of defense dollars, on this, Trump has been crystal clear.
2% is the bare minimum. NATO members must finally contribute their fair share and meet their financial obligations. Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%.
During his first term in office, Trump labeled as shirkers any NATO country not spending the alliance's budget goal of 2% gross domestic product, or GDP, on their military. During his lengthy campaign for re-election, Trump claimed that he would direct the U.S. to ignore Article 5 of the NATO Charter, which ensures collective defense of all NATO members, should the attacked party not be compliant with the 2% of GDP spending guideline.
No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay. You got to pay your bills.
This puts Canada squarely in Trump's gun sights, as we currently spend only 1.3% of our GDP on national defense. While many of the hawkish pundits in Canadian defense circles are self-flagellating in anticipation of facing the wrath of Trump, we need to look at the situation from a detached perspective. Last April, Minister of National Defense Bill Blair unveiled the Liberal government's long-awaited Defense Policy Update, or the DPU. Titled Our North Strong and Free, the new policy outlines a significant spending increase and promises to acquire some very specific new capabilities and equipment for the Canadian Armed Forces. While this current DPU projects a massive increase from Canada's current annual defense budget of $30 billion to a staggering $50 billion by the end of this decade, thanks to Canada's robust economy, that will only put us at the 1.76% GDP mark. In other words, closer, but still no cigar from Trump. In terms of equipment acquisitions, the DPU shopping list includes early warning aircraft, tactical helicopters, and new long-range missiles for the Army. The government plans to buy specialized maritime sensors to improve ocean surveillance, as well as build a new satellite ground station in the Arctic. The DPU blueprint includes plans to establish additional support facilities in the Arctic for the military operations. Also referenced, albeit without detail, is a new fleet of submarines for the Royal Canadian Navy. There will be a major investment in domestic ammunition production to replace those stocks of artillery shells which Canada donated to Ukraine. Having learned their lesson from that war, Canada also plans to significantly increase the Army's strategic reserve of ammunition. All of these equipment items will add or modernize actual combat capabilities for the CAF. However, none of these expenditures addresses the existential threat crippling the CAF at present, and that is the personnel shortfall due to the ongoing recruitment and retention problem. Given that the NATO 2% GDP target is an arbitrary expenditure of money rather than a definition of actual combat capability, the struggling CAF leadership could turn this to their advantage. To encourage new recruits to join and recently released CAF members to rejoin the ranks, why not offer lucrative signing bonuses? I am sure that a $250,000 bonus to lure a trained fighter pilot back into the RCAF is more cost efficient than the millions of dollars necessary to train such a pilot from scratch. Likewise, a currently serving member looking to retire early would be tempted by a similar bonus to retain their expertise for an additional 3 years. Another short-term win-win would be a massive investment in affordable housing for service personnel on an urgent emergency basis. While the current DPU does mention building such housing, the fact is that at present there are $0 in the current fiscal year budget to even begin to alleviate the problem of military housing. This is the situation, despite the fact that there have been numerous reports and studies of soldiers being homeless, couch surfing, or living in squalid conditions. I'm sure that there are all sorts of real estate developers who would jump at the opportunity to partner with the Canadian military to build such housing and improve barracks. It is just not a priority, it seems, for D&D's senior leadership. Before investing in modern weapon systems, the CAF needs to invest in its greatest asset, and that is the men and women who serve. Pay them well and give them decent, affordable housing, and you might see a boost in morale. Another upside to such a program is that these defense dollars would be going to Canadian service members in the form of bonuses and to Canadian construction companies in communities all across Canada. All of it is attributable to our defense budget and pushing us closer to that 2% of GDP that Trump is demanding that we spend. This has been On Target. I'm Scott Taylor.